What's the possibility of Microsoft releasing a band product without all the fitness aspects? So this question of wearables comes up often, and basically some people aren't happy with the Band 2's design, and I totally understand that. I think Microsoft is exploring this area a lot. My guess, they have a lab, they're probably working on various different things. They probably do have a proper smartwatch thing that even runs Windows 10 IoT. I'm sure they're doing a lot of experiments. However, this field is very much unknown right now, so I see Microsoft kind of waiting and seeing, testing the waters, testing designs, and they'll probably come out with something analogous to a smartwatch at some point. In fact, just this morning we heard that there's a Cortana wearable possibly coming out that they're working on that may even go in the ear. So I think Microsoft has a lab with this stuff. They definitely work on it. They definitely test things. Whether or not it actually comes to market is another question, but there's no doubt about it that wearables are sort of the future of technology. So I'm excited to see what happens. Is there a Lumia 950 XL with dual SIM or not? So there's been some confusion regarding the Lumia 950 XL and whether or not there's a dual SIM version. Apparently some people are talking to Microsoft in their countries and they're getting mixed reports. We can say there definitely is a Lumia 950 XL with dual SIM. In fact, we've used one at the Microsoft store before. So they definitely exist. Now it's obviously going to vary from country to country as to where, if you can get that model or not, but you should be able to order it online direct from Microsoft or other retailers with that setup. So definitely there is one, and hopefully it'll come to your country soon. Do you think there's a possibility for Microsoft to release a small Surface Book that would follow the same relationship as the Surface Pro 3 versus Surface 3? So as I understand this question, basically the idea here is, will there be a lighter version of a Surface Book, like a Surface Book Lite? I don't know. My guess right now is Microsoft is definitely going after the high-end premium market with this device. I suppose if it sells really well, they'll probably evaluate doing something like that. However, they don't necessarily want to take all the market away from their OEM partners. There's also the issue with naming. They might have wanted to call this a Surface Book Pro so they can step back and do a regular Surface Book. I'm not sure what they would call a lighter version of this. They could, I guess, call it a Surface Book Lite, but it doesn't really fit in with the naming scheme that they've been going with recently. Like all things with Microsoft and hardware right now, I think they're going to evaluate the market, and if they feel there's a need for that device, they'll create it. But I haven't heard any rumors yet of such a device existing or being in development. When is a mid-range Lumia coming? Tell us about the Lumia 750 and Lumia 850. So recently there was a rumor coming out about a Lumia 750 and 850 destined for market sometime later this year or early next year. According to my sources, no such phone actually exists. There's been some confusion here with the Lumia 650, which is coming out around January or February. That has not yet been announced, but our sources says it is coming out around that time. That device is still being worked on, including final specifications, and I think that's where some of the confusion lies, because it may get some higher end features to the 600 line than we previously expected. But I do not expect a mid-range Lumia anytime soon. There is nothing on the roadmap, and it is not planned. And if you think about, this is exactly what Microsoft said they were going to do. They're going to do low-end Lumias, they're going to do high-end and business. So there's no room there for a mid-range Lumia. And I guess they're expecting their partners to basically pick up the slack. But that's what I hear so far. If I hear anything else, I'll let you guys know. Do you think Microsoft will release Hololens to common users? So Hololens is a really interesting technology. I think Microsoft is definitely exploring it. They're going to be releasing it next year to developers for $3,000, which kind of tells you the price of it and what it would actually cost for a consumer. I don't think that is something necessarily consumers could afford to buy right now. There's also not a lot of apps or games, or even they don't know how to market it yet. So what they're going to do is basically give it to developers, get some feedback, and as they get more experience building these things, reducing costs, improving the hardware, we'll probably see the consumer story come online. But that won't be, I would say, for at least another year. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens. This is definitely an evolving technology, though, and it's going to take a little while before it seeps down into consumer hands. When, if ever, will I be able to run full programs, not just apps, on my smartphone? Is this something Windows 10 is working towards? So I recently wrote an article regarding Microsoft's future in mobile, what their vision is, and I'm not 100% sure on it, but basically it has something to do with the idea of mobile technology taking over full desktop computing. That's the whole idea behind Continuum, of course. Now what's coming with the Lumia 950 and XL is like what you allude to, which is that it's going to run apps, but not full desktop programs. So is that on the horizon? There's possibly two ways that this can happen. That yes, they make a full Intel phone and it runs executable apps, but only when connected to, say, an external display with mouse and keyboard. That's one possibility. The other possibility is they're going to use their bridge programs to bring over Win32 apps into the Windows Store, and then those run as siloed apps, but they're still full desktop applications. And don't forget, those bridge technologies allow full games and including apps like Photoshop to be included into the Windows Store. Not only is that good for developers, but it makes it easier for consumers just to download stuff to their computers. Plus, everything is siloed and it doesn't affect your registry. So I think that's the model they're going to go for. Now, if you take that and put it onto a phone, I can definitely see how this could basically fulfill that vision of running desktop apps on your phone, but in sort of a nuanced manner going forward with today's technology. But we'll have to wait and see what Microsoft says going to 2016 with their plans, but I do believe this is the future of mobile technology. Will the Band 2 be upgraded to Windows 10 IoT so all Windows devices run on Windows 10? So my early reports suggested that they were experimenting with Windows 10 IoT on the Band 2, but there were some issues with it later on and they were unable to do it. It is my estimation that with the Band 3, we will definitely see Windows 10 IoT on that device. However, I would not expect the Band 2 to get Windows 10 IoT, mostly because there's probably some hardware issues there that would need to be overcome. It's probably the same reason why we couldn't flash Windows Phone 8.0 onto Windows Phone 7 devices. Technically, it could have been done, but there's a lot of risk there because you're talking about bootloaders and all sorts of other issues instead of just an upgrade to the OS. The Band 2 doesn't actually run an operating system right now. It runs basically a firmware software combination. That's a lot different. So in order to get Windows 10 on there, there would be a lot of configuration, and I don't think it would be a very easy task. I also think you would want to improve and update the hardware for such a device. So I would wait for a Band 3 for that to happen, but it will definitely happen. Why do the Lumia 950 and 950 XL have such low standby time ratings compared to other Lumias with smaller batteries? So Microsoft posted on their website expected standby times for the Lumia 950 and 950 XL, and they're significantly lower than other competing Lumia devices. So the question is, why? Well, there's a couple things in play here. One is that these are just estimates. The OS is not finished, so they can't really actually test this. It's all based on estimations of the hardware and its capabilities. Having said that, I have seen companies revise these numbers going forward, and they may actually do that once they get a finalized version of the operating system. I can say with my Lumia 1520, I'm getting actually very, very good standby times with the latest build of Windows 10 Mobile. Now, whether or not that carries over to a Hecta and octa-core processor remains to be seen, but we are dealing with some very high-end hardware here, so I do expect less battery life in standby, but until we get these in our hands and actually test them, we just don't know. So just remember that these are just estimates at this time and not necessarily the final numbers. We'll have to actually wait and see what Microsoft posts on their site once Windows 10 Mobile is actually completed. So that does it for this week's episode. Remember, if you have a question, use hashtag AskDanWindows on Twitter or use our email, askdan@windowscentral.com, and maybe we'll pick yours next time. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.